You're listening to the Connection Care Community Podcast, a podcast designed to help you understand your body more deeply and feel more confident navigating your hormones, cycle, and fertility. Each episode offers grounded, research-informed guidance and integrative tools to support hormone health, embodied awareness, and informed choice. If you're seeking clarity, connection, and a more trusting relationship with your body, you're in the right place. Let's dive in. Here's your host, the founder of Connection Care Therapy, Majida.
Hello and welcome to the Connection Care Community Podcast. My name is Majida, and today we'll be talking about that conversation that's been buzzing around in wellness circles for a hot minute now. It's cycle syncing, right? But I want to really frame this as more than just being a trend. It is actually a total game changer for your overall hormone health and for our ability to really engage in a level of sovereignty with our bodies. What cycle syncing is at its most basic is about working with your body's natural rhythms instead of pushing against them. And what I want to offer is that when it's done well, it can deeply connect us to our cycles, can support you in feeling more aligned with your energy. It can even support your fertility goals as well as your overall hormonal balance. So let's take a moment today to just talk more about what cycle syncing really means, why does it matter, and how you can start practicing this really incredible practice in a way that actually works for you and your lifestyle. So here's the key, right, with cycle syncing, is that it recognizes and respects the fact that if you're a menstruating person, you are not going to be the same person every single week of your cycle. That's because our hormones are going to affect everything from our metabolism to our energy, to our mood, to our cognitive patterns. Cycle syncing is a practice that is going to honor the fullness of you by allowing some space in your life for biology, right? What is natural to the ebbs and flows of your cycle to set the pace instead of expecting energy to always be linear, productive, put out, but never actually take time to reflect and ground in where we are actually in our actual hormonal bodies. So when we work against our cycles, oftentimes what we experience is more than just fatigue or PMS. It's actually what can be called biological stress. So in the follicular phase, the first part of your cycle where estrogen is building, doing something like, say, restricting calories here or over fasting can actually impair hormone production. Or around ovulation, right, sleep or deprivation or stress, these things can delay or even prevent ovulation entirely. In the luteal phase, which is the second half of your cycle post-ovulation, pushing for something like intense workouts can spike cortisol or even have this complicated dance happen between cortisol and progesterone that can shorten your luteal phase or worsen PMS. And then you have our menstrual time, where ignoring the body's need for rest, for being still, right, for whatever it is your body is calling for, can actually deplete nutrients that are going to set the pace for your next cycle. So cycle syncing I'm not putting it on the table as something that's going to fix everything by any stretch of the imagination. What I offer is that cycle syncing is a way to give your body the conditions to function more smoothly, be better supported when it comes to things like blood sugar, experience more balancing in terms of your hormones, and more support in terms of your hormones, smoother or even potentially eliminating experiences like PMS. And for those who are interested in optimizing their fertility outcomes, cycle syncing can be a really, really beautiful and powerful tool to do so. Offering that's less about control and that it's more about opportunity to get into partnership and conversation with your body. So what is the science behind cycle syncing? Why may a practice like this actually work? We'll start with metabolic shifts. You have this, your basal metabolic rates rises in your luteal phase. What this means is that your body actually needs more energy. So things like ignoring hunger can actually work against you in that phase of your cycle. Right? Fasting may be more doing things like any kind of fasting or longer time periods of not eating maybe some more supported in the first phase of your cycle than it is in your second phase of your cycle, because of this natural experience of your body's natural metabolic rate rising during the second half of your cycle. Many out there are navigating insulin sensitivity. You're most insulin sensitive during your first phase of your cycle, your follicular phase, and around ovulation. Later in the luteal phase, progesterone decreases that sensitivity, and so adjusting carbs and proteins accordingly may support in helping to stabilize energy. Stress, which most all of us know that experience of stress, and then our bodies know the experience of stress hormones, and what many are now more so learning about is a relationship between progesterone, oftentimes called, right, progesterone does so many things in terms of inflammation and cognition and sleep, and as well as supporting and maintaining pregnancies. Progesterones are like big second half of our cycle hormone. There's a relationship between our stress hormones and progesterone, where high cortisol post-ovulation can interfere and shift dynamics around progesterone, which may increase things like PMS symptoms or PMDD symptoms if stress isn't managed. Our brain literally changes across our cycle. Cognitive patterns shift, verbal fluency and learning actually peak around ovulation, whereas other skills like visual, spatial reasoning may be more enhanced during the luteal phase. And then you have mood, right, as told through our neurotransmitters shifting. Estrogen boosts serotonin and dopamine, making you feel more optimistic and social in the first half of your cycle. For some, right? None of these things are across the board for everyone. But because of the dynamic between estrogen and serotonin and dopamine, it is not uncommon for many to feel more optimistic and social during their first phase of their cycle, whereas in the second phase, with progesterone creating calm and introspection, it can be sometimes feel like night and day for many. So these aren't random mood swings. These are purposeful neurochemical shifts, and understanding that this is a natural part of the way that our body cycles throughout the month can actually really support us in overall quality of life. And it then can start to become really clear that it's less about wellness trends and chasing wellness trends. It's more about just working with exactly who you are and what feels aligned to your system. So let's look at what cycle syncing might look like and feel like in terms of actual practice. The menstrual phase, right? Starting with cycle day 1, first day of your cycle. Generally, menstruation lasts anywhere from 5 to 7 days for many people. I oftentimes call this like the restore and realign stage, where many of our hormones, reproductive hormones, are at our lowest. Our body is shedding and replenishing, and this can oftentimes be a beautiful time for rest, gentle movement, grounding foods, because we're shedding and bleeding and what have you. Think iron-rich foods, mineral-rich foods, soups and stews and what have you. Energy for many tend to be kind of lower. And so offering practices like reflections through journaling, meditation, planning, and dream building for the cycle ahead. The menstrual time can be beautiful for that. In the follicular phase, which can be more so seen as like the build and initiate phase, estrogen may be rising and may be giving you some more energy, some more creativity, some more a sense of greater resilience, and it can be a really great time to incorporate your strength training, right? Try out some new workouts, tackle more challenging projects, focus on things on foods and meals that may be like lighter or more energizing, always with your healthy fats, your proteins, and attending to your complex carbs during this phase. Ovulatory phase, for many around ovulation, can be a time of connecting and expressing. Certain hormones are starting to peak during that time, and those are hormones that really tend to facilitate things like communication or confidence or connection. It can be a better time to integrate more dynamic workouts or social activities. Feel just easier during that time for some. Okay, nutrition, always staying nutrient dense and stabilizing, and this can be a really great time to incorporate like more fresh foods and just making sure that you're staying well hydrated. That's always a given, always staying well hydrated. And then last but not least, we have our luteal phase, which is the phase after ovulation has occurred and when progesterone is very dominant. And progesterone can oftentimes lead many to feel more slower, more inward, more calm, grounded, reflective during that time. Grounding foods that support blood sugar. I offer, while still maintaining your workout routines, scaling back perhaps on more higher intensity exercise if it feels depleting. It can be a great time to actually focus on more like detail oriented work, on closing and completing projects, on finishing tasks. The key to all of this, right, and I really want to emphasize this here, is that this isn't about rigid rules, and it's not about your cycle looking like this textbook explanation that I even just gave. It really is about being responsive to what your body is telling you, and starting to take some time to learn and understand your own rhythms and your own flows. Because some of the common mistakes that I've seen from working with, I mean, at this point in the game, like hundreds of clients that I've been just very fortunate to work with, some of the patterns that I've seen is that women will adapt rigidity over being responsive. I offer that if you're interested in cycle syncing, that it's a time to explore where is it that your body actually knows best. Some days you might feel energized outside of the time when you're supposed to feel energized, and that's okay. Or you might feel slower during a time when it's supposed to be the energetic phase. There's no supposed to, right? We don't do the supposed to things. It's an opportunity to really listen to your body and be responsive to what your body is telling you. The things I shared earlier are guidelines, as to what you may see or what people may see. But especially for those of us who are navigating things like hormone health concerns, fibroids or endometriosis or PCOS or irregular cycles, those will impact the ebb and flow of our cycles and what we experience at different stages. And so, especially if someone is navigating highly irregular cycles or anovulatory cycles, I offer take some time to address that and support your system. And yes, integrating some of the wisdom of cycle syncing, but really just getting to know your body and understanding what your body needs to ebb and flow the way, get back in rhythm again. Also, a big one that I see is using this practice as another form of control. Cycle syncing ideally should feel like a connection. It's not about this perfectionism, and perfectionism can actually really be quite distressful experience for many. So I offer that it's, again, attending to what your body is trying to express and tell you, and learning and really just being open and curious and learning more about yourself. Last big mistake that I'll highlight here that I see many make when engaging with cycle syncing or starting to learn the practice is forgetting that life happens. Life will life. There will be travels, there will be late nights, there'll be stress that's just inevitable. And our cycles aren't meant to be something that is just, okay, this is the way that things are. Like, this is just another thing to, control or to it's an offering to say, like, how can we use cycle syncing as more of a flexible guide instead of a rigid plan? So cycle syncing is not separate from you, just how you are, like how your body shows up as it is. It's not separate from your hormone health. It's not separate from your experience of fertility. It's saying yes to an opportunity to learn, to read and respond to your body's natural signals. And when I've seen people start to just engage with some simple cycle syncing practices, Clients of mine will report that they're adjusting their workouts intuitively rather than forcing through intensity. I've had clients report that shifting meeting schedules to align with their natural flow really has made a profound difference for even their work life and their professional life. I've had clients report feeling more embodied and confident instead of trying to fit into a linear cookie cutter schedule, that their experience of embodiment has increased. So cycle syncing allows you those kinds of choices, and choices that are guided by your body, not a calendar. So where do you start? What I offer are like 5 really simple steps. First, just starting to get to know your cycle for around 2 to 3 months. This is where fertility awareness can come in. Doing things like tracking how you feel, right? Take notes on your energy or in sleep, appetite, exercise, digestion, libido. You're really just exploring patterns. I offer that you start small. Right. Adjust a workout, tweak a part of your nutrition, protect your rest time during menstruation. Like, just start with small things instead of overhauling everything at once. Number 4 is I offer that you be patient. Right? Patterns are going to emerge over multiple cycles, not just one cycle. So this is a slow flow practice instead of a rushing to get to the end of a finish line practice. So be patient. And last but certainly not least, number 5, I offer that you get some support alongside learning fertility awareness. Having some support around engaging in this practice can be really beneficial for many. On my Substack, I offer just much more in-depth things when it comes to like meal examples or movement ideas or tracking methods. So head on over to Substack if you're looking for more resources. And then I have also on my website things around my course, The Cycle Connection. I have a free resource library that has cycle syncing resources in it. Just a lot of resources. So head on over to my website and to Substack and check those out. And so, we're going to close up today just to finish off this conversation that cycle syncing is about teaching you how to live in harmony with the systems that have been sustaining you since your first menstrual cycle. Your hormones are speaking a language. They really are. And cycle syncing is just a practice that supports you in learning to listen and to come from that place of listening to yourself and your body, which for many of us, we just have not really had many opportunities to do so. So cycle syncing can be a really beautiful place to start that connection. And that's all I have for today. I'm really, really glad that you're here, that you choose to spend a few moments of your day in this conversation. If you'd like to explore this topic a little bit more deeply, as I said before, check out my Substack where you'll find the full piece, the full written piece, as well as supporting resources. And thank you again for listening. I look forward to our next conversation. And as always, stay connected.
That does it for this episode of the Connection Care Community Podcast with Majida. Thank you so much for listening. We hope you're leaving with a fresh perspective on your body and overall well-being, along with practical tools you can integrate into daily life. The support doesn't stop here. Be sure to connect with us online at connectioncaretherapy.com for more resources to guide you on your journey. You can also find us on Substack and connect with Majida on Instagram at Majida Sai'da. Remember to rate, review, and share this podcast. And most importantly, stay connected.